All right, so the number one method to extract coal is surface mining. That means most of the coal in the world is found on the surface of Earth. It's not necessarily, oh, look at coal on the floor. It's just above 50 meters. We don't have to dig too deep to get to coal. What we do have to do is remove layers of the top of land. That's called overburden. So we have to remove all the surface of land to get to coal, and in the process, we're making pits. That's called open pit, okay? Open pit is a type of surface mining. We do it to dig for, we blast the land, we make these holes, we dig, and then we use trucks to haul the minerals, or in this case, coal, back up, and then take it to a processing plant. We also call open pit mining quarries, okay? So it's like 3 definitions right there. Other things that are mined are sand, gravel, stone, marble, limestone. You don't have to know this on the test, but you can never say I didn't tell you that, okay? So remember that mining, we're tying in mining with fossil fuels, but we mine for minerals of the world that are important. And these are important minerals. We need them for construction. We need them for a lot of things. We mine for a lot of things. Another type of surface mining that is used to extract coal is called strip mining, okay? Strip mining is more on the top of the land, okay? What type of coal do you think would be found there? Here's a question for you. What type of coal do you think is found higher on the surface of land based on what you learned yesterday? What? Not liquid, because coal, we have to turn it into liquid. Coal is a solid fuel. Good. But peat is not coal. I like that you said peat because it's the pre-stage. So what happens after peat? Lignite. So remember, the deeper you go, the different stages of coal take place. So surface would be lignite. If we're going to go to open pit, what do you think we're looking for? What stage of coal? We're going deeper. Bituminous, maybe still lignite, but good. Don't think of those things. If you have stages of coal and they get deeper, you're going to go deeper type of mining to find different stages of coal. All right, so the type of strip is you're stripping the land. End of story. We're using contour strip mining, mainly for coal, and you cut out these terrains, look for coal, and then you throw the land back, supposedly, hopefully it'll regenerate. They also do a type of strip mining where they remove mountaintops, and again, that's not for coal, that's for minerals. Okay, so those are 2 different ways to mine for coal. Open pit and strip. And then there's also here explanations on how mining takes place for other minerals. All right.
All types of strip mining?
Yes, these are all types of strip mining. This is the one associated with coal. All right, so the second most common way to mine for coal is subsurface, where we're going deeper into the land. What are we looking for? If we're going 50 meters below, what type of coal? Anthracite, the one that we wish we had a lot of, right? The one that's been subjected to a lot of heat and a lot of pressure. There's 3 types of subsurface mining. We're only going to cover 2. The first one is room and pillar, and it's exactly what I'm saying. They mine deep in the earth, but they leave these rooms, and pillars are columns. So if you don't know what that word means, underline the word pillar and next to it put column. And then that way they allow for some kind of flow because they're literally deep, and stability of the room. And then when they're done, they let the rooms collapse. Long wall is also deep, 50 meters below. And here they're going to use like conveyor belts. They're going to extract panels of rock, look for the coal, put it on the belt, ship it out, and then later let the walls collapse again. Okay? So they're just, which one do you think is more dangerous? Subsurface or surface? For who? The workers. How about for the environment? Surface. Believe it or not. Think of all the damage. Now, we're going to talk about that real quick. What is the damage that arises from surface mining? Erosion. Keep going. What? Okay, runoff. Because with erosion, you're going to have, listen, so you can end your sentence, runoff of toxic chemicals that can be in the soil from mining, and then they go off. Now I'm going to show you what these toxic chemicals are, okay? This is the last slide on mining. Sure. Good. You could say it was an ecosystem like a grassland, and they knew there was coal underneath, and that soil was nutrient rich, and it eroded, so it took nitrogen with it, right? They have to start you, though, on where the biome is. So you can have ecosystem destruction. If you're going to say land degradation, what's degraded? What part of land if you mine? Good. You want to add that word. Degradation of topsoil. So we're at the point now where you can't just say runoff. You can't just say degradation. Somebody said pollution on the test. You can't say pollution. You have to describe it. Degradation of topsoil. You know what that is now, okay? So this is why there's waste from mining. When you mine for any mineral or a fossil fuel, there's going to be what I call, let's call it garbage. G for garbage, G for gang. Gang is the remains of things you don't need when you're mining for a specific mineral, or even when you're processing coal, there's leftovers, yeah? And then think of tailings as the end product of that waste. Like a tail is at the end, okay? Those are two vocabulary words you want to be familiar with. So when you mine for coal, all that waste, we call them tailings. And they have toxic chemicals in them. And they have a lot of sulfur. And if sulfur runs off, what happens to the body of water? No, that's nitrogen. If sulfur runs off, what happens to the body of water? Drops pH. Good. Okay? So now you're making another correlation. We haven't really talked about sulfur running off. We've talked about sulfur falling from the atmosphere. But if it runs off, it's going to lower the pH of water. Okay. All right. Now we're going to go back to the keynote. All right. So how does a coal-powered plant work? How does coal produce electricity? That's the whole process that we're going to cover now. So when we mine coal, how do we mine coal again? Strip mining. Open pit, those are both types of surface mining. Good. When we mine it, we have to haul it. Think of the energy. We needed energy to mine, we need energy to haul, and then we start processing it. We're going to clean coal. I'm not going to talk about that now, but the first thing we do to coal is pulverize it. You see that pulverizer? Anybody know what happens during that? What's pulverize? It crushes it, okay? So we're going to pulverize coal. That's step one. Stay with me, and then I'll redo it, okay, so I could record. Step two. Don't try to write it yet. I'll go back. Coal is placed in the boiler, and it's burned. Now, here's my first question. What kind of energy is coal? Who remembers? This is going back to Unit 4. What kind? Good. It's a chemical and potential energy. And the reason I asked you is I'm going to talk about all the energy transformations. And remember that every time energy is transformed, what happens? It loses 90. It gains 10. Okay? So we went from chemical to burning it, which is going to produce what? Heat energy. That's already one transformation. Yes? Look at that boiler. What are we doing to that heat energy? Can anybody see what's happening? What are we adding to the boiler? What? Well, fire, yeah, but what else? What's going through the boiler? Water. If I add cold water to a burning boiler, what's going to happen? Nope. What happens when I add cold water to something that's burning? Steam. Good. All right. So we're going to add cold water and steam is going to be produced. What kind of energy do you think is in steam? Nope. Potential's over. It was stored in coal and the chemical energy, and now it's already energy in motion. It's mechanical, okay? Potential is stored, kinetic is movement. The only type of potential energy is chemical, which is stored energy, okay? And then you have everything else here is kinetic. So heat is kinetic energy because it's energy in motion, and steam is mechanical energy, which is energy in motion. And then the steam is going to be used to do what? Look at the diagram. Spin the turbine. I'm recording. And then the turbine is attached to a generator, and the generator is going to do what? Convert it to electricity. And that electricity goes to your home. Okay. So remember that the last step is that the generator sends electricity to your home. Okay. And there's another picture for you of the process. Now, I have a slide here of products made from coal. What's the second most use of coal? Number one is to produce what? Electricity. Number two, industry. You know that medicine, rayon, soap are some products made of coal? This shirt is made from coal. Coal, charcoal pills for your stomach and for your face. Yeah? So that when we pulverize coal, there's little traces that we don't use or byproducts. We use that to make products in the industry. You don't have to know these products, okay? I just want you to think, every time I mention products that are made from fossil fuels, think about how many things are made from fossil fuels. All right, advantages. Coal is the most abundant fossil fuel. So if I say coal is the most abundant fossil fuel, what am I comparing it to? Natural gas and petroleum. There is so much more coal than there is natural gas and petroleum. And guess who has the most of it in the world? No, they use the most. Us. So when I say China uses the most coal, is because they only use that, right? They don't have solar, wind. They use the most. So they don't produce the most. And they do produce by buying it from other people and themselves, but we have the most reserves. Okay? So there's a difference here between who has it, the reserves, and who uses it. Okay? We have the most. That's definitely good because we don't have to import it. We have it and we could sell it. It's very cheap to produce electricity. It's also super high heat producer. So if I'm going to put petroleum in a boiler, I'm not going to get to spin the turbine as fast as if I put coal in it. That's why we don't use petroleum to produce electricity. We use coal because it does a better job. High heat producer. What's the highest heat producer of coal? Anthracite. The last stage. It's also well-developed technology. Disadvantages, and I'll go back. I know I'm doing this fast, okay? Coal is the absolute dirtiest fossil fuel. When you burn coal, it produces more carbon dioxide and more more carbon dioxide and more sulfur oxides than any other fossil fuel. What does carbon dioxide lead to? Climate change, because it's a what? What does sulfur oxides lead to? Sulfuric acid, which causes? And smog. Good job.